Hey everybody, I'm Casey, founder and CEO of Fitbot. I'm a web developer and also former gym owner, and during my time of owning a gym, I got a deep look into the training and coaching industry and discovered that I was set up to chew up and spit out talented and passionate coaches, which is why we're excited to be partnered with OPEX, as they truly believe in honoring the coach first, and James will tell you what that means in a minute. I first found OPEX back in 2012 when I hired my first remote coach. I loved the guidance and individualized training that was aligned to my goals, but I found that the tooling for coaches was lacking. Most coaches, by and large, relied and still rely on emails and spreadsheets to get the job done, so I founded Fitbot in January of 2015 to fix that, build better tools for coaches so that they can have long-lasting and fulfilling careers in coaching. We're going to turn it to Matt Sprenger in a bit for a live demo on how he uses Fitbot with his clients. But first, I'll hand it off to James for a chat on program design principles.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. For everyone who doesn't know, my name is James Fitzgerald. I'm the founder of OPEX, and like Casey had mentioned, you struck a chord there, Casey, which shows, I guess, why we may have a lot of people that are interested in being here today in terms of the death of coaches or the death of coaching. I think that we're at a really intricate time right now in the world of fitness where we've played with a whole lot of things and practiced, try to be as efficient as possible, but in that process, for coaching, we really lost that aspect of honoring where the coach sits in that entire process. So I'm really happy that you started with that as to set the tone for not just based on program design principles, because program design is painting a picture, so it's creativity at its best for coaches, which we love doing. But unfortunately, in fitness over the past 10-15 years especially, a lot of those coaches felt handcuffed for two main reasons. Number one, the market is starting to dictate what they should do in fitness and how to prescribe it. And number two, which is what Fitbot fixes, the communication aspect of having systems and putting all that shit together is honestly the shits. So it's I'm glad to be here to at least share a couple of things. I have some points to share on if you're a coach or even a specific person who's using Fitbot out there. I'm going to share a couple of things with you as reminders of design principles in a big picture, with an idea in mind that Fitbot's going to be a medium for for coaches to really express themselves. So decrease the death of a coach. That's the name of the webinar should have been called, and we're going to do that through Fitbot. Couple of principles for coaches to remember before I hand it over to one of our coaches at OPEX, Matt Sprenger, to give you some lifetime idea as to what goes into it so you can see it implemented and what it may mean for individuals. You have to assess, you can't guess anymore. So assess, don't guess has been a kind of coined term that I have parlayed from a number of mentors that I've heard in fitness for a long period of time. And it was kind of a coined term as like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but there's pros and cons to that as for a coach. The cons of assessment and not guessing anymore is that you have to recognize you need a certain level of competency in tracking and measuring to ensure your shit is correct. So I hope that makes sense. If you don't assess things or keep it in Fitbot to actually watch trends, how the hell do you know if things are improving? So in large part, because of the saturation in the market of fitness, so many people have gone away from assessment. And these models of guesswork and black box and anything goes systems have been prevalent, marketed towards the novice trainee. Why? Because they don't know if it's successful or not. So you can see how we can get into a whirlwind of a shitstorm, to use a trailer park Canadian term for that, if you do not assess things. So you have to know what you're getting into when you design that. And I'm just being honest with you that assessment is challenging. But what it does, it makes it worthy for a coach to create a design and to go back and watch trends and say, yeah, shit, what I did actually, when I put it into practice, it was effective. Or you may discover that you assess shit, you have trends and stuff that's shown within Fitbot after weeks, you see that you're not creating the improvements that you thought you were going to. That's a great thing. It's a feedback system to ensure you're going to be on track with things. So you have to think about that as a leverage for your market and for your clients as well, that you are actually going to look at stuff. So assess and do not guess. The future of fitness has to be discussed in no particular order of importance, but customized, personalized, everything. If it's not obvious to you today, it's being scaled in all other markets. So if you think that, you know, over time, fitness delivery and program design will not turn into the everything store like Amazon, you're sorely mistaken. That does not mean that we will still not have human relationships in place, but we will have to have mediums like Fitbot to create personalized, customized programs. Why? Because everyone over time will have easy access, scaled, cheap models to understand where they are in life and what they're doing. You know, through 4 or 5 $9.99 apps. You know, and that's going to happen in 3 or 5 years. And if that's the case, then the positive thing around that is humans are going to recognize what is good and what is not good. And so they will need to have guidance from a coach in fitness, or we'll call it life, that's going to progress them going forward. The way you're going to do that is to be ahead of the game and have a place where you can have that communication between you and clients. And so what's going to be out, if that's going to be personalized, is templated stuff. The fantastic thing around what you want to recognize in your individual design is the power of every human having their own footprint and their own, you know, they're each their own snowflake. I can't believe I used that. I just saw it, you know, a couple of days ago being used, but it is. They're so individualized. You have to recognize that in program design, that everyone has their own speed of adaptation and how quickly they move through their fitness. A major principle in design I want you to recognize and think about is asking the question, where do people sit on their entire journey for fitness for their maximum potential? You have to ask that question. Where do they sit on that? If you don't assess it or you don't recognize what's coming in the future, then how the hell do you propose to know how much they should adapt? That's the beauty around program design, is that you get to give them where their ability ends so that they can grow and adapt based upon where they sit. So if you have someone who's starting out, you should have a certain level of adaptation and speed. If you have someone who's been doing it for a number of years, you should have less speed of an adaptation. You have someone who's doing it for 25 years, then you have to know where they are in relation to their maximal physical potential. That's the beauty around individual design, which can take place through Fitbot. Understand principles, which I'll just hit on one point in terms of exercise physiology or practice of program design. Understand principles of moving people through resistance and movement for a lifetime. The studies around resistance, no one really wants to, because it's honestly useless. No one really wants to ask the question and study, what would be the best resistance training program for someone forever, right? Really what we get all of our information from movement and resistance is models based upon performance or the 1RM. It doesn't make it wrong, and we've used a lot of great shit that came from that. But you have to think critically and say, how do I propose to create motor control to different kinds of strength up to maximums? Why? To get maximal expression through the entire strength continuum for people, which you should just see in different words is called movement, or executing perfect movement long term. So as a principle of program design, how are you going to put that into place? You have to have it through a medium like Fitbot, or any medium so that the client recognizes you're taking them along that path to get maximal progression. But I just want to challenge each coach and person out there to think critically around what is the best program possible for someone forever, not for 6 months, forever. Because when you think about a 6-month or a 2-year program, you fast track people. You fast track, you create compensations, and then they get stagnation over a period of time. Instead, you should say, what's the best resistance for them to get whatever they require right now, but will build for the future. So you can have that in place in progressions within Fitbot that makes it super simple to design. What muddles really what happens in principles of design today is the novice training effect. And believe me, I don't know if this is the word empathetic or sympathy, maybe someone could correct me on it, but I'm really sad, really, that the coach has to fight that fight out there, that there's so much marketing on top of the novice training effect that makes it the best program for everyone. So the novice training effect would be that someone starts at 0 and they're either dysfunction, out of shape, or just starting fitness, and they do some program and they get success as measured by that program system, right? But as you know, in biological adaptation, that means nothing in terms of the word success if we consider long-term success the measurement tool. So how are you going to basically put that together? You have to have a medium to explain that with clients, but you have to recognize the novice training effects. You can educate your clients to say, I'm just not going to make you good for 6 months. I'm going to make you good forever. So whatever that takes, in form, that's up to you and your client's, decision that you guys want to do your journey on. But I just need to make you aware of that as coaches or people out there participating in fitness. The novice training effect does not dictate what a good system is, right? So I can just scare the shit out of anyone who's done nothing for months and months, and I'll get success. Does that mean scaring the shit out of them is the program that I choose to use? No. And this is where it creates, you need to know this, right? Because if you propose to give a great program through Fitbot, it looks like this, they could just go next door and see that, Janice just ran around the block and someone scared her for 3 times a week for 6 months, and she got fit based upon that. But you need to understand that. And if you understand biological adaptations, then it'll be easy for you to transform folks long-term and educate them, and then really change that language in the market so we can put coaches back in the place where they used to be based upon that. One final piece on things you think about as you design programming, that I just use called O-cubed. Organize things, order them, and then orchestrate. If coaches go through that process based upon one client at a time, or even a week at a time, or a month at a time, or a team at a time, you'll start to see that fundamental systems allow you to become automatic in your processes of program design. And this, what do you think we're so excited about having Fitbot? It's a system that allowed automaticity so we can be as creative as possible, right? It used to be, I don't know, Casey does a better job than me, but used to be a shit ton of spreadsheets and emails and text and all over the place. So if you organize all that stuff into one spot and you create an ordering as to what's most important, i.e. priorities and goals, then you can orchestrate, which means you can write the best program design possible. It creates efficiency for the coach. It creates an opportunity for you to have super high value based upon time, but you still allows you to live the largest life as a coach, so you're not scrubbing through emails for 80 hours a week just to write programs for 6 people, okay? So O-cubed, organize your shit, order it in priority, and then orchestrate. It allows you to think, what are great principles in writing out program design that I could use even through Fitbot or even in my practices that would upgrade that. 5 arguments as to why ID is the answer. And then I'll turn it over to Matt to give you some ideas on what it may look like for design and implementation. And I'll be sticking around to make sure to answer some questions based upon a couple of the principles that I just discussed. Why ID? Because it's been time proven. So the first biggest argument, though, is that we specifically, as a company, have seen thousands of people spit out of the novice trainee templated approach. Okay, so we've been helping coaches, right? 2,000 coaches, 50 plus gyms, 600 plus clients in a remote setting online, and close to 20 years now in practice of this. We kind of have an idea what works in a short time frame and long time frame, and I can tell you that we've rehabbed a shit ton of people who've been spit out of that templated model. So that's number one argument as to why ID will work and will be customized and improved over time, is because we've seen what the other model doesn't do effectively. Okay? Number 2, the fast track model gets fast peaks, but you get stagnation forever. So that's a strong argument for individual design, meaning that anyone could go through anything and get improvements. But if it doesn't last forever, it's useless. Argument point number 2. Number 3, the culture on fitness is built on fast results, and the individual design is slower. Now, you may think of that as, well, how is that an argument for, well, for you and I, it's an argument for the power of individual design, because as I said, if you can educate the market based upon that, of shit that will last longer, it actually is an argument for individual design. As you know, if you're a coach out there, progressions take critical time, right? Progressions take critical time, critical thinking, and a long period of time to actually implement and to put into place. And when you start losing that as a coach, you're dying. If you feel that you're trying to fast track progressions to get shit done quicker, you're being sucked into the market. based upon what they're telling you they want to have, right? From the 30 stories they're getting on Facebook or Muscle Mag articles they pass by at Sobeys or Safeways. That's an argument for individual design, right? Because we know progressions are critical. Number 5, last one, you actually feel worthy as a coach through individual design, right? It's an honorable thing and very admirable to give someone their specific design specifically. That means it's super important, but that's going to help them be the best person and the best version of themselves. I know it sounds cliche, but we sleep good at night, even though it may be challenging to be able to do it. Why? Because we feel we're giving that person the best they need for themselves. That's a super strong argument. Like Casey mentioned, and I'll turn it over in a second here to Matt, we want to start honoring the coach again. And the way you do that is to change the cultural idea on the strength around individual design. Why? Because the coach then is put back into society and into a place that shows how important they are for the entire aspect of fitness. And we need to keep doing that. So those are 5 real strong arguments for you just to have something in your pocket that's important for you to recognize as to how important individual design is. And it leaves out all the comparisons. It doesn't matter what other versions are. I just want to speak to you about how important it is to do individual design. So I've discussed some bigger principles that, for brevity's sake, I hope I captured a couple of them for you. Within that, you probably have seen the individual method and how important it is. I'm now going to be sticking around, but I'm going to turn it over to Matt to segue, if you can, Matt, from what I was just discussing, and pull in some real-time opportunities for folks to see how you move and shake inside of this system we call Fitbot.
Sure. Thank you, James. Can I confirm that you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
Perfect.
Confirmed.
I have been, I think I've counted my name 6 times now, plenty of hype, but what you're hearing is Matt Sprenger, and I'm one of the more senior coaches at OPEX. I've been a part of the organization for going on just about 4 years, and I've been a Fitbot user since, I believe, launch week. So I would assume that if there was a top 5 leaderboard, you're going to see my name on all-time hours spent in this platform. I have the task of sharing with you guys for the next 20 to 30 minutes what the basic platform is like for new users who have no experience. And then I'm also tasked with sharing a couple coaching nuggets if you've dabbled in the system and you know the basics and you're looking for little tricks along the way. So I'm going to try to capture those intricate balances. As James mentioned on the 3 O's, Fitbot delivers on those ideas. And what that means is Fitbot allows you a place to organize nearly everything there is to organize about a client, and any gaps that aren't organized yet, I can tell you Fitbot is closing the door on, such as billing. But Fitbot allows you a place to organize all the data of your client. This means benchmarks, this means injury history, this means equipment, their schedule, their plan, all these things that in the past, if you were working on Excel, you would have to design those tools yourself somehow and manage them yourself somehow. All these organizational tools are built into Fitbot currently, and like I said, they're only going to get better and they're only going to get expanded on. So from the ground level of what a coach needs to do with organization of client information, Fitbot's already hitting on all cylinders. And those are the things that I'm going to open up with, just to detail some of the things that you can do on that organizational standpoint. What you're seeing currently is a blank model of where you're going to write the program design for the client. These boxes literally represent, say, November 13th, November 14th, 15th, right? These are the days of the week. The organizational tools exist on the right-hand side of the panel. So if I'm typing within a day and I'm doing my design work, I'm in the flow, I'm creative, and I need to refer back to some note about the client, I'm not flipping through files. I'm not going back and forth across screens. I literally drag my cursor over, click on a tab, and I can pull up information about the client
which I've archived, access it, read it, seamlessly come back to my program design. So you guys see how quickly and how quick and fluid these tools are with regards to getting in and out of program design, remembering what you need to remember about the story you've built for the client. This process of taking notes, critical. If you don't have a story designed and told to yourself about who the client is and what their needs are, you're going to be stuck looking at the page for 2 hours to try to get a 2-week design out. But if you know that client intimately, you're going to rip through that design in 20 minutes. This feature of Fitbot, these features, these tabs can't be overlooked in terms of filling them out appropriately. So let's go through them quickly. You have a goals tab. This tab needs to be highlighted as an area where you and the client can both make changes to. It is publicly visible to the client. So what you write in it, the client sees, and vice versa. There's been actually times where I've hybrid used this tab where it's a communication platform for the client and I to go back on brainstorming projects because they also have access to the same things I write. For instance, if I wrote out these 3 things, perhaps James Bond, the client, could come in and write a 4th goal that perhaps I missed. So this is a great collaboration tab, but it's always a good one to start back to look, ask yourself, is this design getting me closer to these big picture goals? Importantly critical, and if you're a coach, I don't need to emphasize that point, but a goals tab, what to know about it, you and the client see it, you and the client edit it, it can be used for collaboration. Next, there is a nutritional tab where you are able to set macros for the day for the client. You're able to set big picture notes for the client to see. There is an assessment tab, which, let's see if I can show you this. Nope, not what I'm thinking. This is an assessment tab that's actually editable. Is that a word? There's editing features for the coach to create for the client. So in other words, if you don't use these measurements in your system, you don't have to use them. These are things that I've put in, that OPEX uses in their assessment tools. If you don't take skin folds, but you do take, say, biological impedance, and you take measurements of hydration, you can make custom tabs for that. And every time there is a new value or metric that gets updated, a horizontally timed graph gets made. So it's plotted against time and data points to pretty much create a slope curve of progress. It's a really nice graphic illustration. Next, there is a very similar tab, and it's worth noting that assessment and benchmarks is one of the core upgrades that Fitbot's going to be coming out with shortly. And these 2 tabs are going to merge to be metrics. So what's the distinction between this tab and this tab? Well, in the future, it's going to be a lot of the same. Again, things that you can edit, that your system uses, that you want tracked. Like James said, if you don't see results happening, how do you know that the program is effective? This tab right here, one day will be metrics, is very critical that you have benchmarks in your system to show the progress is happening based on the outcomes you dictate are successful. Next, you can put limitations being perhaps soft tissue injuries, perhaps motor skill deficiencies, perhaps their time scheduling conflicts within the week they need to be aware of. These things, like I highlighted, are only visible to you, which is important to note. It allows you to perhaps be more critical and blunt of your notes back to yourself. There's no, sometimes at face value with the client, you might expand on your words. At this point, you can write very clearly, I don't know, a right labrum tear, 9 months post-surgery. You can go a little bit more expansive on things that might not be relevant for the client to hear themselves because you're the only one doing it. Next, and this is one of the last 3 tabs that we have, is a notes and files tab. And folks, if you're going to do any tab justice in Fitbot, this is the one that you keep a lot of tracking on. This is an area where the notes are only visible to you, but you should have a list of 24 notes that you collect from the client over a period of time. These are notes that you can go back to. You can remember key points of the cycle. You can remember key insights that you gained from testing results, and you compile them here. And this is where you build the story of who the client is and what the client needs. And when you have that story built, again, it hops you into programming so much quicker and writes you out an effective design so much faster, but you have to build those notes out. You could add a note, and it exists forever. The feature that I really like is, say you were looking at a day of training design, and you could see all the results. You can go to the Note tab and say, stay on this progression something like that. Let me use Grammarly. And then you save the note, and because you saw in your results, now that note is actually saved in the file permanently. So it's pretty cool. One of the core things that I do on a given day is I start by looking at all my clients in the live feed, and I can see every result that was given to me basically in the last 24 hours since I looked. And as I'm going through those results and I'm going back and forth with the client, I'm giving them feedback. I'm also clicking over in that Notes tab and writing myself notes. So what I might expand on for the client, I'm going to give myself an abbreviated note so that I don't forget myself the feedback I gave the client. That feedback is my feedback too on what needs to happen in the future of their design. So I might give the client a paragraph of length on how to improve their snatch technique, and then I click over to the Notes tab, and I'm writing myself perhaps the exact exercise choice that I want to see in the program to help impact that snatch technique. So it's a great dual tab to use, and again, build this function out if you're a coach, because it gets you into doing good designs a lot quicker. Next is an equipment tab, which is great if you work in the position that OPEX works in, which we deal with clients internationally, perhaps visiting their gym once in a lifetime, not knowing exactly what equipment is in their home base. You need to keep a very detailed list of what the logistics are available. So for me, I'm always going in and editing out this tab, such as, when people get new equipment, I'll write it and there it exists forever, and I can go back in and refer, yes, I can use that piece of equipment, or no, I can't use that piece of equipment. And typically I divide the equipment tab just like you see here, where there is a giant has and have nots. Most of the time I'm concerned with seeing this, because the last thing I want to do is give someone a piece of equipment and they not have it. That's always the feeling of being a sloppy coach, when you give someone a piece of equipment that they've told you they don't have. So I try not to repeat those errors too many times. This is an important tab to me as well. Why did I show you all that? Why are these tabs important? Because, like James said, the process of coaching an individual is having an idea of their needs, organizing them, knowing what their story is, and taking them in the direction that they're intended on going. And if you don't have all that data very well built out, you don't know the client intimately, you're not doing individual coaching. You're doing guesswork, and that's a glorified template. Fitbot has these features for a very good reason. OPEX certainly has been at the forefront of helping dictate them to be in there. It's at your benefit to make sure that these tabs are well filled out for every client. Cool? Next, the next O is ordering. I really can't get into that right now. That is the idea of program design. That is choosing, do I write one day right now? Do I write 1 week, 1 month? How long is the cycle? Ideas about ordering exist on a larger picture, but the one thing I do want to talk about with Fitbot as it relates is that Fitbot automates the loop of a coach to client relationship. And what I mean by that is, once I actually click on a day and write a workout, say that was the workout, I've created a day of training. What does Fitbot do? It automates the process to send that client the actual workout. The client sees the workout, they perform it, the client gives the results, and Fitbot orders those results back to me. So literally, all I have to do in my role on the process of creating the coach to client loop is exist within Fitbot, make the design, and from there, once the design is made, it is on an automated calendar that I don't have to touch again. The client will automatically receive that workout. The client knows based on a relationship and expectations that they're going to perform that workout, and I get the results back on an automated schedule once the client hits save. When you're working with email, when you're working with spreadsheets, you design that workout, you hit save, it exists in Excel. How does the client get it? Now you have another email to send. Okay, the client receives the email. The client does the workout. How does the client get you back results? Is it a text message? Is it an email? Is it doing a Google Doc and collaborating in a spreadsheet with a different color text than yours is? We've done all those systems in times past at OPEX, and it's simply ineffective. You can't scale that working with a volume of people because you can't possibly track what 250 emails in your inbox looks like on a Monday morning. You can't possibly have the time to track all that. This is where Fitbot comes in golden with the ordering, is because once you design the workout, that whole process of getting the workout to the client getting the results to you, is completely automated. One thing of note to say is that Fitbot does have customized features where, let's go to it, you can choose how often the client receives the workout. So for example, you can email the client their workout daily. You can email the client their workout weekly. So the difference between those two tabs would be when this is checked, the client receives only one email per day. And what it means is the client on a Monday morning is going to receive their workout for Monday, but they won't receive their workout for Tuesday. Does that make sense? This can be a nice model for people who don't like stressing over the workout, or who do stress over the workout rather. It can be a nice model for people who still like to unpackage what that workout of the day might be. From the majority of my clients, I'd say 90%, I choose to click email on Sundays. The reason this is the case is because I'm able to set the expectation that you're going to see Fitbot on Sunday for the whole week. And if you have questions, ask me on Sunday, because I can't guarantee that I'm going to see them during the week. The worst thing to have happen, for example, is say a client is on the East Coast and I'm living on the West Coast, and they're up at the 6 a.m. class to do their workout, and they have a question on how to execute something properly. Or they notice an error. There's some communication gap where they want clarification. If you're giving them their workouts the day of, you're going to miss the majority of those edge cases. So this is a pearl. Email workouts on Sunday allows you to actually go through a communication with it, make sure that the workout's clear for clients. I set the expectation that if you have questions, ask them Sunday, no later than Monday, and thereafter it's highly inappropriate to ask further questions because that window of opportunity has been missed. Let's go back to the workout builder. So again, ordering. Once you make the workout, that's done. It's it. The client is going to get the workout on the automated schedule you set, and once the client hits saves, you get the results. There's no other intervention that's needed. All you have to do is build out the workout, and the client will see theirs. Whether you choose to do 1 day, 1 week, 1 cycle at a time of programming, that's completely up to you and your system. What we're going to do now is go into the orchestration of designing a day's workout. What I just did, where it was back squat 3x5, not too pretty, and it really underutilizes the features of Fitbot in workout design. What you can see here is a bunch of blank days that have been yet designed. What you can see above is a bunch of days that have actually been completed and designed, and what Fitbot is notifying me is that the client is due today. The client will not have any programming tomorrow if I don't address them right now. These little icons are lifesavers, because what you'll inevitably have is a bulk of maybe 5 to 15 clients on a given period of time that are nearing no workouts in the future. Their due date, as it's called, changes colors to this bright orange to help alert the coach, you need action on this person. I don't think in nearly 2.5 years of using Fitbot that I've ever missed delivering a client a workout on time. And in large part, it's because I'm not tracking it automatically. Fitbot is waving a giant orange flag that says, you got to do work right now, Matt. So that due date is a lifesaver. When you hover over a blank cell, you have the option of adding a workout. This means that when I click it, I start from scratch. I literally write in the title of the workout, whether that's upper body, whether that's at a specific gym, whether that's where we're at in the cycle, which is what I typically do. You literally write from scratch and complete the workout. That's what I'm going to show you in a second. You can also make it a rest day. You can also paste a workout. So for example, if I copy this workout, I can come down the next day. I can go in. I can make modifications. I'm actually going to show you that in example next. So you can paste a workout from previous days in the week, which is really great if you want to track consistent progressions. And then last but not least, you can go and you can assign a workout. So if you click assign a workout, we have several workouts. We have several workouts that we use at OPEX, but let's say I assign a workout that was the CrossFit Regionals from 2011. You can see out of nowhere all these workouts populated. What's good about that is that if you have a very standard timeline that many clients will be repeating, such as an onboarding assessment screen, you can go in and write that program one time, and then, like I just did, apply it for multiple uses in the future for when people pretty much converge onto the same scenario. At OPEX, we use that heavily for clients doing a standard assessment screen. We actually spent nearly the last 10 days refining and upgrading our model on how exactly we're going to onboard clients and get the most information with the least amount of time input. So we have processes like that in place where new clients get a very similar product. Not only is it a great time saver as you're developing new clients, because there's inevitably more questions, it's just also great systemizing. So those are the 4 things you can do on a blank day: add a workout, make a rest day, paste a previous workout, or assign from your programs. I need to go in a lot more depth now with creating a new workout and copying and pasting an existing workout. There are core time-saving features about this function that, when utilized, can cut your programming time down at least in half. And there are core features that when you miss, you'll be chicken pecking the keys for 2 hours to write a 2-week block. And if you think that's hyperbole, it's not. Like James said, nearly 2,000 coaches through our CCP system, and we can tell you firsthand on watching them do practicals and program design that literally it can take people 2 hours to do a 2-week design, if not more. So it's important that your fingers cooperate with your mind and that you don't have any gaps in efficiency. So that's some of the things that I'm going to share coming up here. So let's get started. When you have a new workout on the page, you can put a title. It's optional. You don't have to. The workout will save even if you don't have a title. I find that when I have a title, it better aligns my thought process with where the client's at in the cycle. And I've gotten good feedback from clients that appreciate knowing where they're at in the cycle. So anymore, I typically write out what the exact week and day of the cycle is. This is, in fact, week 2 out of 12 in a theoretical cycle. So the client can appreciate the length of the build. They can appreciate the timeline of the progression. They can appreciate the patience that you need to have if you're making growth in specific areas. Next is a warm-up tab, and this is a design feature that, when seen from the client's end, is more collapsible and abbreviated, but often well appreciated. Again, you don't have to put a warm-up in. You could go and tab right past it. But for me, I'll typically add a warm-up, and I have pre-built warm-ups. So for example, you can see that when I type squat, I have pre-built warm-ups, and I can select one that goes along and cooperates with the day. So just by having a minor library of time and work, you can use those tools interchangeably with clients in the future. Let me go back and show you that again. These are all demo videos that I'm getting rid of so that it looks like a blank screen. So I have squat programs 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that, and you can see other coaches on staff have programs as well. For me, when it's a squat pattern day, I just type in squat. When it's a hinge pattern day, I type in hinge. When it's a bench, I type in bench, and you can see it auto-populates different warm-ups based on the primal movement that's most associated with the day. So for me, let's go with squat 2. I like it. A good warm-up's been populated. The client gets an idea on what movements to include in the warm-up. They have movement demos if the client doesn't know how to execute the movement itself. I literally never get what's this exercise questions anymore. And when I was doing spreadsheets on Google Docs, I would literally get up to 50 questions a week on what's this movement. If your system utilizes any sort of corrective exercises, it is very odd and weird to have single arm, single leg, stability breathing, overhead banded, you name it. It can get very confusing for a client, and their I don't know this exercise emails are valid. By having these demo links in Fitbot, you will never, I don't want to say you will never, you will cut down those emails by at least 99%. You will hardly ever get them. And when you do get them, it's often a check to say you need to add these exercises to your system. Next, you can type out the whole name of an exercise, like I just did right here. That's going to take a very long time. So what I typically do is I start by half typing, and then I scroll down and I hit the key. Let's show that again. So you can type out the whole name of the exercise. That's fine. Or what Fitbot does is by the time you start typing, the exercises are going to be sorting and populating based on what mirrors the abbreviated characters. You have to use this function. It is the way you're going to save time. You scroll down, you hit enter, and you can see my cursor is on the next line before I touched anything. Right out of tempo. Let's go 12 by 2 on the minute at 50%, 1 RM. So you made a prescription. Hit Shift Enter, and now you're on a new line. I'm going to get in trouble by James, my writing style. What you noticed last time is I said hit Shift Enter because that auto creates a new line. This is one of those hotkeys. Let's see, where's those hotkeys? Right here. If you go below the magnifying icon, you have a whole bunch of hotkeys that are designed to never lift your fingers off the board. Critical that you use them. When you get in the flow of hitting Shift Enter, let's see, let's just type in any old movement, 212. When you get in the flow of hitting Shift Enter, it just lets your fingers stay on the keyboard. It lets you keep typing. If I had just written this exercise and I need to lift my cursor off, I need to find my cursor, I need to go over this little exercise plus tab and hit plus exercise, you're wasting time. Has to be Shift Enter. Next, on efficiency. So we got 2 big points of efficiency. Let's go back to it. Type in part of the name. So let's just say power type in part of the name, and Fitbot is going to auto sort the most likely name choice to the top. When you find it, hit enter. That's efficiency tip number 1. Efficiency tip number 2, once you've written the prescription, hit shift enter to make a new line. If you do those 2 things alone, I promise you, you're going to save at least half your time in writing. All you have to do is time yourself going one way, where you're lifting up your mouse and clicking a button, or where you're typing out a whole word. Try doing it that way, and then try doing it the other way, where you're using the efficiency keys. It'll make a massive difference on just those 2 things alone. One of the poorly understood features of Fitbot, and it's a shame because this is golden when you use it, is this little case history. Let me go back to what I actually clicked on. It looks like a clock going backwards in time because, if you guessed it, it is a historical review of what the client did for that prescription. So when you click on that tab, if Craig Daniel was built out as a multi-year client, I might have 20 power clean sessions where you can see what previous results were, and so it helps dictate what the future prescription ought to be. I use this a lot when I'm scratching my head. What has the client actually done in this movement? I haven't used it in a little while. If you just click on that tab, you'll see, oh, this is what the client did. This is what they're capable of. So it is a great tool for the coach to use if you get stuck on writing and you're not quite sure what to write as the sets, reps, and tempo prescription. Last but not least is the circuit, and if you notice, I clicked the other tab, the right-hand side of the tab. The circuit is nice because when things don't fall into the weight training bucket, in other words, exercise, tempo, sets, reps, rest, if it's something that's mixed modal, if it's something that's more interval, if it's something that's circuit-based, this is where I like using the circuit function. It presents more cleanly on the client side, and you're able to tag multiple videos. So for instance, the rear foot elevated split squat, that has a video demo that the client can access. But if I was to do a couplet of rear foot elevated split squat and single leg deadlift, stiff legged deadlift in one box, I'd have to pick or choose one of the videos. When I use the circuit, I'm able to write both in, so the client will have demo videos to access for either movement. That's the big advantage. Oh, what did I do? I'm sorry, you guys. 3 rounds. I hit tab. It takes me to the next line. I never picked up my fingers. 30-second bike at 90%. Enter. 30-second bike at 50%. That would drive me crazy. Rest 5 to 8 minutes. Probably unnecessary. Boom. So that's a prescription. All along the way, I was hitting enter to go down and tab a line, but this presents very cleanly for the client. If this was the day of prescription that I made for that client based on their assessment and results, this is what I deemed was appropriate for them, I could hit save. I could go down to my mouse, but again, why would we do that? We're going to save time and just hit escape on our keyboard. How I got off that screen was I hit escape. Because this box is blue, everything within it saves. I literally don't have to click any other button on the screen. I don't have to alert Fitbot that I'm done. I don't have to push anything to my client. Quite literally, they would receive this workout tomorrow because I've created it. When you're on the box and something is orange, see how the orange has just created over the box? That means that you're in a not save mode. Nothing has been saved yet. So if I were to click off the web page, all my work could potentially be stripped away. If I wanted to do some fun things like superset the exercise, I wanted stiff-legged deadlift and rear foot elevated split squat to go back and forth, I could click the superset link in the description, I could click the superset link between the workout tabs. I could also hit Command-Shift-K and it links them. Great if you want a superset. If I wanted stiff-legged deadlift as a primer in the workout, I can click and drag and move the workout orderings around. Maybe I want the client to get, quote, warm before they hit some of these higher complexity pieces, that's a gold nugget for master competitors and master trainees. I can move and reorder all this around. If I decided that I don't want to do this on Friday, I want to do it on Saturday, and we're going to make Friday a rest day, I can grab this multi-direction icon and move it either up a week, down a week, over a day. It really doesn't matter. Cool. So that's the basic framework of manipulating and creating one day of Fitbot. I wanted to quickly also show you all these little boxes that exist in the right-hand corner. I can select any number of them. And what that allows me to do is I can create a program out of it. So if I really like what I wrote for this person, I could technically select them all, create a program, and it goes back to that programming menu, if you recall. A probably more common feature that I use is I select a day, I copy a day, I go down to the next week, and I go within that design, and now I make my micro adjustments to that individual. Whatever micro adjustments might actually mean in your system. You make those adjustments, and boom, you've created a new day of training. The power of that copy and paste feature is that you're able to make one really good week of training. You're able to set your intentions. You're able to set your themes. And from that one really good week at the start of the cycle, if you just keep rolling along, making micro progressions week to week, manipulating less variables, tracking them, seeing progress, you're going to save yourself a ton of time. You saw I spent probably 15 minutes talking through exercise design when you create it from scratch. How quick was that just now when I copied and pasted and had the majority of my work already built going into the next day? It was incredibly fast. So if you do diligence on the first week to set your charter and set your course correctly, copying, pasting, and making those micro progressions from week to week is an incredible time saver. That's it, guys. That's it for now. We're going to wait for the Q&A to open up and ask specific questions, perhaps on issues you might be facing with Fitbot. But literally, this is the process that I use, and I showed you one day glimpse at a time. I showed you a one day glimpse. I would repeat that process for as many training days as the client has to build out a week of training. And yeah, it just takes awareness of what the client needs. It takes organizing what the client information you have on them is, and going into the software and actually building out the workouts is the easy part. It's the part of my day that used to take the longest amount of time, building workouts and getting the client their results, doing all these tasks that have now been automated. Programming is now the least amount of time I spend in my day. So let me say that again. I used to program proportionally. If you looked at my day, perhaps 80% of my day was spent Excel programming. Why? Because I had to get the client the program, I had to get the results, and I had to make sense of it. So I spent the most of my day doing the logistics and back end. Nowadays, I spend perhaps 20 to 30% of my day programming. And what do I do with that time saved? I'm able to communicate at a deeper level. I'm able to look at trends on a deeper level, and I'm able to build better relationships with clients because a lot of these tasks have been automated. So there's tremendous power in the system. I take it from someone who's done spreadsheets and transitioned to Fitbot since day one, and I'm happy in the Q&A to give any more insight if you guys have specific questions, but thank you for the time.
Great job, Matt.
All right, you're good. Thanks, Matt. That was awesome. We're going to answer some questions here in a sec. But place to go for coaches if you want to learn how to become a master coach like Matt is to go to opexfit.com and apply for their CPP program. All right, we're going to open it up to some Q&A. You got to mute yourself. Any of those questions? All right, so first question comes from Ryan. Are the warm-ups already put in a Fitbot, or do I have to create my own warm-ups and save them?
Ryan, the warm-ups are not already in Fitbot. You create your own warm-ups and save them. Yeah, that's really where you can differentiate yourself from the market. If you have great corrective exercises that get at the proper intent, you'll be masterful of your warm-ups and your clients will love you for it. I can tell you that firsthand. It's kind of going back to, you know, is a movement really doing and contracting the tissues that you think it's contracting? And that's some of the ideas that I go forward with when I make warm-ups is mobilizing the joint for the task and activating the muscles for the task. So if you approach it with that framework, I think you'll find that you can quickly make a lot of different scenarios out of your warm-ups. Again, real simply, a 1-2-3 sandwich. Number 1 in the warm-up would be soft tissue mobilization. Number 2 would be joint distraction, and number 3 would be an activation piece. And you can figure out ways to order that within the warm-ups. But that's at least the framework that I start with on the majority of my warm-ups in creating that sandwich for people.
Great, and Nick has a follow-up question to that is, can members of my team share warm-ups, pre-saved progressions, etc.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that perhaps you saw on video, especially with the exercise demonstration, like the exercise, as I was typing in back squat, this is a terrible inside joke at OPEX, but there was 10 back squat videos that popped up with different faces next to them. That's where each coach has input a video to the system and it saves. So I'm answering your question, but I'm answering it in a bigger way. When you or anyone in your organization adds a warm-up or adds a movement video or adds an assessment or adds a benchmark set or adds a program, all those things gets added to a team library that you can all use. So yes, if you task one person with making a lot of warm-ups, it is accessible for everyone across the team.
Great. Question from Morgan. If working with multiple clients one-on-one in person, but they're at the same starting level, is there a way to write one workout and paste to multiple profiles, or is it just a single copy and paste function? So maybe Matt, maybe we can turn it back to your screen again. You could show how to paste an entire week, and then we'll go from there.
Yep. Are we on my screen?
No. Give me one sec.
Okay, so the topic is transferring workouts for multiple people to use. You design one workout, maybe you work with a team of people, and they're all going to be given 90% of the same design. You can Command A. So I clicked on one day of the week. I hit Command A. It highlights the whole week for me, so I don't have to click each tab. You can copy that week, and when you go down to another week and you paste it, it exists. This is true if I had another tab open. So this is Craig Daniel. I have another tab open of James Bond. I go to my James Bond client, and it functions the exact same way. When I hover over that client and I paste workout, it'll paste that same week. You can see I'm pasting the same week over and over again.
Yep, that's the feature we recently added was the ability to have multiple tabs, multiple windows of Fitbot open, and have the copy and paste work between clients, between programs, client to program, program to client, etc. So
yep.
nice efficiency tip there.
The next point is that if you wrote out a really nice, 12-week program, and you knew that you wanted to utilize it again in other contexts, you can select all the days as I just did. And at the bottom of the screen, instead of hitting copy, you're going to use this cursor to create a program. And that's where you would title it like the James Bond program, 12-week peak strength, whatever. You create the program. If I hit save, now when I go to assign program page, it's going to be in there. Does that make sense? So that's how you can create a program on screen, store it, and it's archived out of that menu. Good question.
Great. Another question from Esteban. What's the feature you'd most like to see added to Fitbot? What are your thoughts there, Matt?
Esteban, you should have been at our 3-day global meeting where we spent 8 hours with Fitbot whiteboarding the coming features. Maybe Casey won't care if I leak this, but a feature that I am really excited about is called check-ins. And basically what you can imagine is that if you're seeing my screen right now and you see that that's November 2nd, there's going to be a icon or a color on the left-hand side of the date box that's a check-in with the client. You can ask them reoccurring questions such as how was sleep, how was stress, rate your mood, rate your soreness, how good was this workout today. You can basically ask them a brief questionnaire that's going to give you tracking metrics on the client's readied state. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to have color coordination with it, green, yellow, red. Imagine a model of say nervous system tracking such as HRV. This is going to be a less accurate model than that, but very similar in the ideas that it presents with the themes of tracking. So I'm very excited about daily check-ins.
Great, thanks, Matt. I'm going to take back over real quick. That way I can get better access to these Q&A feature.
Casey, while you find that, I'll just add too that there's a really nice function down the pipeline one day, and it is going to be billing, where billing can be controlled within Fitbot, which is going to be awesome because I can promise that most independent coaches have to have an alternative billing system, and this will just further streamline that everything actually happens in Fitbot. Like I said at the start of my call, at the start of my part of the presentation, we're like 90% there where everything can exist in Fitbot, and I'm telling you, they are closing the gap. Within very short time, 100% of your needs will be captured in Fitbot, and one of those big ones for a lot of people is going to be billing.
Thanks, Matt. Next question is from another Matt, and he uses he has a question about using Fitbot face-to-face, with your in-person clients, and for the coaches there at OPEX that might train in-person clients, what do they do with them, and how are they using Fitbot? What's the difference, or is there any difference?
Yeah, there's 2 core features that Fitbot can help with that question. One of them, it's called remote. So you would select that the client is remote, and what that means is that only the client inputs results. You can also select an option that is in person, which means that only, well, not technically only, but the coach inputs the results. So based on how you choose to dictate the client profile, they either have access to inputting results or you do. So if you're in a situation, an in-person situation where you're doing a private training session, I have seen it on the floor and it looks so slick. If that was my deal, I would definitely, if I was a personal trainer in person, I would definitely do it this way. But I've seen someone with an iPad in their hand, and it just basically replaces the clipboard. And as the client is working out, the coach is inputting the results as they go. So the coach is keeping track basically for themselves and for data trending while the client works out. Now that is a one-to-one personal training model. When you're in a semi-private, like an OPEX licensed facility, you're not going to be inputting the client results. You're going to be maintaining many of the same processes and systems where it's expected that they come into the gym, they open up the browser on their phone, They follow along on their handheld phone themselves and input the results themselves. If you work with any number of people in that semi-private setting, you're not going to be able to keep up. You're going to be tasked with inputting results, and you don't want that task in the day. You want the task of making creative workout designs, reflecting on the trends, commenting on results. You don't want to be a data inputter. So here is that exact spot where you can choose remote only. The client puts in the results. In person, you put in the results. Dual gives you the functionality of both. I never use dual. It's all remote or nothing for me. But again, if you were in person, private training, it could be a very nice piece of the package to where you have that tablet in your hand, inputting the results as you go.
All right.
Basically replacing the paper clipboard.
All right, thanks, Matt. Next question. Do you think Fitbot is a good solution for your general population clients? A lot of the OPEX stuff I've seen looks performance-based. I'll go ahead and take that one. So, yes, while OPEX does cater to that performance-minded athletes, 80% of the clients in our system are people that just want to look better, feel better, and move better. So don't feel that Fitbot is, for people that want to qualify for regionals, for games, that type of thing. It's a general tool that's powerful and flexible that can be used for really anybody.
Bravo, Casey. OPEX works, albeit scarcely, with that population as well. And you got to remember, it's like Casey said, you have a tool, and it's powerful and it's mendable. And if you are working with a clientele at that level, likely some of the questions that you're going to be incurring are technical in nature. They need to see video. They need to see execution. They need reminder. They need to be able to recall their old results to break old PRs because they're going to be on progressions for perhaps 12 weeks at a time. Fitbot delivers tenfold in those areas that are key success items for that group.
Good stuff. Question from Ian. Are there advantages to using, for example, Chrome to Safari? I'll take this one as well. Pretty much all of us here, we prefer Chrome. It's by far the most performant and best browser on the market, we feel. And it's great. All right, next question from Michael. If I am training a client in person, how can I view their workout from my phone so I don't have to bring my computer onto the floor? Guess I'll take this one as well. But Fitbot's fully responsive and will adjust to whatever device that you're on. So if you're on a laptop, if you're on a phone, if you're on an iPad, we'll kind of change things around. It's fully responsive and fits to any device that you're on. On the dashboard, there's a handy new feature called Today's Workout. So if you pull up the dashboard and look under Today's Workouts, you can quickly get to that client that just walked onto the floor. Wilson asks, is there any way we can view the calendar to start Sunday through Saturday versus Monday through Sunday? Not yet. Perhaps an option will exist for that in the future. We actually first started when we first kind of launched into beta. We had the calendar start on Sunday, but we actually got an overwhelming amount of feedback that they preferred it Monday through Sunday, the other way around. Next question from Ryan. How do you move one part of a workout either up or down the order of the day? So now I see a couple of questions related to that, so maybe we should go kind of show the drag and drop functionality again. And let's maybe get into how we can drag and drop different pieces of a workout onto a completely new day.
Sure. Let's see, let's just get a whole new area started. So say it was AM, back squat, 5x5. Okay, that's what you're doing in the AM. And PM, close grip bench press, 5x5. Why would that be your AM and PM? Because it is. You can go within the same day and flip things around. Now, I know that doesn't make sense in your mind with why AM and PM is right there. You'd have to change the title, but perhaps for some reason you need to do that. And for some reason, the discretion of the session, time availability, if you're talking about doubles, you're probably talking about someone whose readiness really dictates what their training is going to be on a given day, and maybe you assess that they're not ready for the training session at hand, and it's good to move the days around. So that's item number one. Again, I clicked this top directional pad, held down on my cursor, and I was able to move it around the screen. Casey, the other one was how to move
individual exercises between days.
Between days. Not a function I do, but let's see if we can't.
Yeah, so if you save it, yep. If you save the workout and exit out of that, then drag from there. Nope. Exit out. Exit the form. Yep, drag from there.
Oh,
the single, click and drag on a single exercise.
Yeah. That's what you're talking about here.
Not the day, but the exercise. So like click and drag on back squat. There we go. Cool.
Learning together.
All right. Next question. Can a customer upload videos of a movement like a snatch for technical analysis?
Of course. There's a really Fitbot's been upgrading their video playback feature progressively since day one. Where we're at right now is that when the client is in their portal, they're on their end, they see that A is snatch, and they have the prescription. So imagine this. Line number 1 is snatch. Line number 2 is the sets and reps. Line number 3 is an open bar where the client inputs their results. Also on that bar is a little video icon that when clicked opens up a camera and captures video that automatically uploads onto the web browser. So there's not this two-step model. There's not a model where you have to film outside of the Fitbot and upload it. You can literally, as you're going throughout your session, click that icon that is on the same bar as your comments, and it's going to upload video to it. Right now, Fitbot has some really nice functions such as video slowdown playback, where you can reduce the speed to a quarter, half, 3/4. Most commonly, I actually speed it up to 2 times to watch Metcons at a faster rate and actually see more data in less time. There's where was I going with this? There's also a comment. So you're concerned about perhaps commenting. There's a function on your end where you can actually record yourself speaking. So if there is a lot of feedback and you don't have the keyboard skills to provide a paragraph of the written word, and you can vocalize your adjustments effectively, the client can get an audio visual message of the same thing. So the functionality of using video and audio and the power of our internet speed is well adapted by Fitbot currently.
Good stuff. I've seen a couple people ask this question: is there a Fitbot app that clients can download onto their phone? Not yet, but we are currently hard at work on it. We're aiming for a release within the next few months here. It's coming along really well. It's looking really great. Right now, what we recommend is your clients to add a bookmark onto their home screen of the Fitbot client web app. But yes, we are just as excited as y'all are to get this app out in your hand. It's looking really, really good so far. Cool. All right. Well, I think that sums up most of the questions that we had. It's about all the time we have. For today. If we missed your question, feel free to reach out. You can email us. Use that chat bubble in the bottom right of the app, or on our website, or you can reach out to us. hello@thefitbot.com, or if you want to reach me personally, Casey@thefitbot.com. But want to give you all a little something special for sticking around all the way through the end, and that's a coupon code. No more spreadsheets, now valid for new customers on monthly plans only, but use coupon code No More Spreadsheets to get 50% off of your first 2 months. All right, thank you guys. And once again, any other questions that we didn't have time for, please email us hello@thefitbot.com and we'll get you all squared away. And thanks you to Matt and James for joining us as well.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you for everyone for being here.
All right, till next time.